The kids are not getting the skills they need to do for the future.
Ivo, thank you for coming again. This is the second time I've had you
Yes,
on.
you're
I'm
so
enjoying
kind.
it. No, I really enjoy it. But I mean, come on. When you have somebody with the kind of background that you do from Bulgaria and your daughter and your mother and father.
Canada,
and
Japan.
you just spoke to, and I asked you how your mother and your sister were doing. You said, I just spoke to them yesterday. Now that's a good son and brother. Your sister's 6 years under the younger.
Yes,
you
you
guys
know
play together all the
everything.
time,
You
right?
have
Of
memory.
course I do.
You have
No,
memory
I
like
did-
45
I did-
years
I
old.
did. No, I did my research last time. I got to know you. So today, actually, you're going to be going to some special event, right?
Yes, I'm going to Semicon Japan,
Semicon Japan, right?
which is a very big event.
But you go there every year, don't you?
Yes, but during the COVID, it was scaled down a little bit.
Yes.
Now it's really fully open, and it's the same as 2019 size.
Okay.
I remember very well.
Now, what do you hope to do there? What happens? You get to see all the new technologies?
You go to see some of the existing connecting companies that I already have worked for 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So I want to see how they're doing, how the executives has been changed or the same. I met already with some of them yesterday.
Okay.
I will do with others today. And I'm also searching.
Oh, so you went since yesterday?
Yes.
How many? Is it a 3-day event?
It's a 3-day event, but I'll go only for 2 days.
Okay, right.
Yes. So it's a very big event.
Is it open to anyone that wants to go?
Everybody is free of charge. Just
Okay.
register and go.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, yes. They have also many workshops, seminars. They have even networking event, so you can try to exchange business cards with other Japanese people.
Okay.
They have many foreign companies coming.
Mm-hmm.
I talked yesterday to Vice President from Switzerland. And what I'm just saying is this is one very important event in Japan because it's once a year, every year. Before they try to do like online mix, doesn't work well, you need to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
And the atmosphere is already, you have so many booths there. You have about few thousand companies.
That's right, that's right.
It's a huge event.
Yeah, that's good. And you did something prior to that too, didn't you? You said you just came from something when we were coming up.
No, I have an event in Kyoto which I organized myself that is called
That's
the
what you
Fusion
did?
Forum
Okay.
on November 23rd in
Right. How did that go?
Western Kyoto. I mean, there was certain last moment cancellations for people not coming because it's a national holiday in the middle of the week, but people were impressed because in 2.5 hours, everything is to the minute. I mean, you have lecture for 30 minutes, you have, fine cuisine, you have dance performance, you have live classical music, you have live pop music, you have a professional guitarist coming, all of these things at the same time.
Was this your first time doing something like this?
No, that started 10 years ago, but because my absence for few years from Japan and COVID, we delayed for 9 years again. So we are restarting it.
After 9 years?
Yes.
My goodness. And it was good. How many people came?
About 35 people.
Oh, that's probably really good.
Yes.
Oh, that was good. So it was.
And some dignitaries, I mean, like former president of Kyoto Seikei University, he's also from African origin, and others, people that I met for first time, they also came.
So is this event done all in Japanese?
No,
It's
no,
done-
this is mixed. The lecture was in English, but anything else is Japanese.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so it's good. So you had many bilingual people there?
Yes.
Or trilingual? Or
Yes.
quadlingual? Like yourself?
You always.
That's good. So tell me, so what are your plans like today? I know today we're gonna go see your friend afterwards.
Yes.
Or my friend.
Yes.
Our friend.
Yes. So my plans for today are simple. I mean, I want to always keep the joy of communicating with people that I trust and people that I know they have been in Japan for many, many years, have established relations with either big entities or government institutions. So it means that these people are really very important benchmark for me.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, Ivo, but that's so true because Japan provides its own as a credential check or security check. If you've been here that long, you have to be doing something right.
Correct.
I hadn't thought about that.
Correct.
Because Japan will
And
take
also
you
you
out
need
in a
to be
heartbeat.
trustworthy. Otherwise you cannot do any business here.
I had not thought about that. You know how I looked at it? I never worried about anyone checking my credentials, because I'm saying they're the ones that have to be checked.
But now you can see
I
government
never
is
thought
checking
about
your
that.
ones.
They had to because of the positions I hold.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But I had not taken it how I should look at people if they've been here a long time. I just felt like, oh, that's good. They've been here for a long
One
time.
criteria. And second,
That's your
after
right, you're
you're
so
stimulating my thought in the following manner, Japan doesn't need to put harsh background check restrictions because they can check your evolving in your behavior for the years.
That's right. And
And
that's what they
then
want
you
to do.
become in the blacklist or not.
That's right.
Because some people coming with very wrong intents in Japan, they easily get there by their actions.
That's right. Isn't that
So it's very, I would call it, it's very gentle way of enforcing law and order.
and finding out who's who? Yes, that is so true.
I agree, especially if you want to be a permanent resident. Now they opened, I heard from one Japanese lawyer in another networking event, which is the Austrian startup networking event in Kyoto, was surprisingly last Friday.
Okay.
There I met a lawyer saying, I am a lawyer helping foreign CEOs coming to establish business in Japan to get visas right away.
Right away.
Yeah, because they're opening now this. If you bring investment, if you want to open a company here, you will be granted immediately permission,
Okay.
which was not possible before.
That's true, but that doesn't mean they can stay.
No, they can.
No. I said, no.
They can stay, but
Japan-
they
I
can
think what
sustain
Japan-
their stay.
Right,
Different
exactly.
question.
I think what Japan will do, what they're doing is this. They'll say, sure, come on, take a shot.
That's
And
right.
pay
That's
us.
right.
They'll say, you're going to have to pay.
No, but payment is not the
No,
issue.
no.
Language is the one
I
aspect.
understand, no, but the aspect is this. No, the rent is not going to change because of them.
No.
If they want to have a car, it's not going to change for them. I'm talking about they will be paying.
No, but of course. But the procedure will be simpler because you don't need to go far
Right.
for security deposit. You don't need to go for somebody to sign as a
Exactly,
guarantor.
right. Which
There's
all
a
of us
lot
have
of
to
a
have,
lot
right.
of things that you can kind of
Right.
reduce.
Right. I understand.
However,
You're still
as
gonna
you
pay.
said, you need to find good accountant and good lawyer.
And not just that, you have to have something of value to the people here, else you're not going to do business.
First, their mindset is, I like the convenience of living in Japan.
That's what I'm saying. That's
I
right.
want to transfer my business from Canada, US to Japan because I can comfortably live here and organize my, let's say, online activities, whatever they are,
Well-
like learning, etc.
Right.
So I met such kind of startup companies.
Now
people,
that they can do, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying they may not be doing business here then. Their business
that's
could
right.
be
Their
online.
business is global.
It could be global. Now, many people. I have a friend that's doing that right here.
Oh, I
he has
see.
an online business and he does quite well, but he
I
does
see.
no business in Japan
Oh, but my opinion is opposite. If you don't do business, then why you need to be here?
because it's nice to be here. Why
I
wouldn't you want
see
to
what
be
you
here?
mean. I
Like
see.
you said, it's so convenient. You have access to everything. You don't have to worry about. He can buy whatever he wants and enjoy it here.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
buy it in another country, you may not have it tomorrow.
One thing, and second thing is, let's put it this way: here, things are self-organized in a way that even there is a certain degree of corruption, is much smaller compared to the neighboring Asian countries.
Any other country, period. It's just completely different. And the countries that you'd want to enjoy, for example, if you went to a small island, that means nothing. But this island, you forget you're on an island.
They call it Japanese archipelago.
That's right.
Yeah.
This place is just unreal, the amount of building in the area. And they love to say they have no space. They have plenty of space.
That's right.
They have
That's
pl-
right.
That
That's
you
right.
can actually tie into the infrastructure if they wanted to. It's not like it's rock land or swamp land that you can't handle. It's just that they do not want to do it, but they can.
One thing I really love about Japan, because people always said, oh, NHK is boring. So people need to watch BS-NHK because they have so well organized educational programs, documentaries, about, for example, why the Japanese people DNA is so different from the Chinese people DNA.
Because
They
they're
explain
hungry.
it.
They tell you how well they were bred and everything
Yes,
else.
because the first wave came from South Asia,
Okay.
and then other parts of Asia later. So you see, you have a Jumonji, period, which was different culture, different people, and then you have others, and then amalgamate.
That's right. And then they got rid of
But
the
they
weaker
still
ones.
have about 35% from this original people.
China.
No, not China.
You may tell me. Do you think
No, they are
Ainu?
They're actually Aboriginal from Southeast Asia,
Okay, all right. They became the Ainu?
which means they think that's actually direct descent from Africa.
Right, of course. I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, you look at the features of the
No, but
Japanese.
you see
So
the sculptures from that period,
Right.
they have nothing to do with Asia
That's
as
right.
a current
Okay,
understanding.
I see. You know something that Disneyland used to do at the very beginning
Yes.
when they first opened? As soon as you walked in, they had a little cathedral you went into, and it explained the origin of Japan. I don't know why they took it down, and they said everything you're saying now. They showed how they all came in.
No, but that's I'm saying
Information-
NHK still explains that because this research is still ongoing.
But Disneyland stopped showing that.
I
They
see,
had it at
I
the
see.
beginning. You walked in, that's one of the first things you looked at.
It's very
They explained
unfortunate.
Japan. I think with the technology we have now and the information we're getting, we have Chat GPT and everything else, we're at such an interesting time in our lives where we have information available like this.
Yes.
But it's only available to people that know how to rub the lamp and get the genie to come out. Because our kids aren't being taught how to do it.
That's correct.
They
And
do
that is
not
one
have-
main
they don't know
concern,
you have to rub
that
it
they
a
will
certain
not
way.
have the analytical skills of our generation, and then how they can sort out.
They can't because they can't get the. You have to ask the right questions to get the right answers.
Correct.
They don't know how to ask. They're not being taught how to ask
But
questions.
we are touching very sensitive area because in Japan they want to improve the situation with the teachers, but it's not improving. And then the kids are not getting the skills they need to do for the future. So what I'm thinking, based on this perception, is that foreign companies are coming to take the last treasury of the Japanese talent students, use them for the startup companies, and then in the next time everything will be already AI based and there will be no creativity any longer, is my perception.
Well, Japan isn't known for their creativity.
Yes,
They're
but
known
I'm
for
saying
their-
is how to sustain it is very
That's right,
challenging.
how to sustain it, right?
But this is a very fundamental questions that Japanese authorities need to consider carefully and not only rely on their conventional advisory committees which are established of sensei hierarchy and which,
right,
which
right,
doesn't
right.
work well sometimes.
Right. Well, there's one thing too, Ivo, that you have to think about. AI, we give it too much credit as being able to do. It gives you information.
Correct. You
We
need to
still
sort
have-
it out manually.
But we still have to build the buildings, sweep the roads, make the machines.
Not only that,
It
design
doesn't-
the electronic device.
Exactly.
You cannot do this automatically.
It
That's
doesn't
illusion.
do that. It doesn't do those things. So you still need human beings if you want to live.
Of course,
the
you
way
can
we're living.
automate certain elements of them,
That's
but
about
without
it.
the human, you cannot make
How are
it
you going to
happen.
put it together?
No.
You can't. It does not.
No, may
does
take
not live-
another 30 years, but that's another obsession.
That
because this kind of over automatization is actually also have the dangers of losing control of itself.
That's true.
The purposes, the performances, and the functionalities may evolve without human, which is, in my opinion, always very scary.
Now, are you afraid of what AI might do? Because we have robots that can actually make robots. Japan's already done that. What do you think we're headed? And how soon do you think it can happen? Because it happens quicker than we ever imagined now.
Time is a matter of always have a development cycle. So Japanese and any other industry need 10 to 15 years to mature technology. You cannot jump over that.
You
In
cannot.
2 years, no way.
Well, what about even, okay, let's say you have an AI that has all the knowledge that we have now, which is ChatGPT.
But there are two problems. Where is the power coming to power these supercomputers that need to have this processing time? There is a lot of heat will be generated
I
during it,
understand, okay.
and people do not count that.
Okay.
So they're looking now to reduce that by going to ultra low power chips to do the processing. They also want to do quantum computing, which is a different, completely different way of
Doesn't
processing
use
the
heat the same way,
information,
right?
which is much more powerful. But Japan is leading still because they have both technologies. So what I'm trying to say is that Japanese people are very friendly to robots because they're lonely and they like to have somebody talking to them. So in that sense, Japanese have less barrier for these kind of technologies. But making humanoid robots is possible. My point is, I prefer to talk to real human because of this analytical background, because of sorting integrity, doesn't matter is moral or not, or principle, and all these things. Because robots can maybe answer certain questions, but to make the level of human creativity would take 50 years.
At least 50?
Yes.
Okay.
They want to do it faster, but this is the danger. As you rush, you may miss big chunks of aspects of the technology which will backfire you in the future, and then is point of no return. I'm always afraid of rushing to adopt new technologies without checking all of the implications.
Well, see, I don't think Japan's ever been guilty of that. It's the other countries that are guilty of that.
Correct.
Japan
is more moderate.
They don't even set up an area for risk. If you say, okay, what about let's put a little bit aside for the risk, they say, we don't want to do it then, because we don't want any risk.
Correct.
That's Japan.
Correct.
Other countries, let's have a 20% or 10% error margin for risk. This might not work.
That is a good
Where
point.
Japan does not do that.
European and American startups, they always said, our risk is 50%.
Or Chinese.
No, there I don't want to touch it.
Okay, so let's don't touch it. All right, so going back to the US and then Europe, they do what?
They have many startups.
Yes.
Some of the technology is quite original. I was very impressed. What is interesting, that their CEOs thinks that they can easily secure investors with 3 to 4 million per year, and they can burn it for 3 to 5 years without any results. I was very surprised with this kind of mindsets.
But they always like to factor in risk as well, where
Of
Japan
course.
doesn't.
Of course, but they're coming to Japan for one reason. I asked them several times until they finally give me the answer. We're coming to Japan because Japanese companies have a lot of cash savings. We want to have access to that, and we like to be acquired by these big entities so we can still continue burning cash for another 10 years and don't worry about the results. So you see this kind of mindset.
Yes. The mentality.
Yes.
But Japan's wise to that. That's
I
why
agree.
they are so wise to that. They come here every single day. Japan
But why?
Because Japan has no external debts.
One thing, and second thing, I'm talking why somebody come with proposal, then they will be very careful, because they always saying, where is the plan to convert this investment into manufacturing, and where is the market as a volume, and point of return means margins. They said, we need to think this later. No, we need to give us the answer now, even if 7 years in the future. And if they don't, they will never get the funding.
They're going to have an answer.
Yes.
But they don't have one.
Because what they're doing is they're combining several technology in a new way, which each technology already have 50% unknown chance of risk. Then your risk become exponentially high. How you can quantify?
Right, they can't. But they're hoping that maybe just through
they're
sense it might
hoping
happen.
because the demand is there. I mean, the need for that technology is there, but who will make that so-called trial and error for the next 10 years investment, which is 3 million per year?
What are some of the hottest things right now? Can you tell us some of the hot things that people are interested in trying to do now? Technologies that we're looking at?
I mean, let's take biomedical.
Okay.
They want to find quick and effective cancer cures.
Okay.
And they have some new concepts, which are conceptually maybe, let's say, fine. But again, until you can make this concept low cost, accessible, and robust, will take definitely 10 years. So you see, this is the people point. Hype is there, but deliverables are very far. Of course, you can try to mix them in a new way, you can try to simplify, you can want to apply advanced semiconductor technology to faster process the sample, lower the cost, and lower the volume of whatever you're doing in the blood sorting and so on. But I'm saying is takes time to validate and then secure the robustness of the technology.
See, you and I have lived here long enough that we're okay with the Gamman
But other people are not.
They get upset with it. They aren't willing to be patient enough because they don't come from a society that teaches them to be patient.
That's right. that is one of the biggest social kind of issues now. From one side you have entrepreneurship, and from another you want quick return and growth. They are not cohesively together.
They're not compatible.
They need to be separated. You need to have patience. You need to have trustworthy results and relations. Then you can ask for the next step.
Right.
And I think Japan is very good in that because, as you said, you cannot bypass things.
No, you cannot. Not here. And that's what I hope Japan, as long as I'm alive, or my kids or my kids' kids are alive, I hope Japan never stops doing that. And I always like to think about when I saw Star Trek, I used that. And they went to this one planet where they were very much like Japan. They were organized and everything worked. And let me see, Star Wars did the same thing. The planet that made the robots. They were mechanized, they had the shipments ready, but then you see the galaxy and want to do it real right, want to get it done right away. Who wins? The ones that made the robots are going to win anyway because they're organized. You think they can't protect their own planet? Of course they can. Well, Japan, I like to see the same way.
And that is why I like people, as a foreigners, advising Japanese government, because it's not easy to balance between keeping the uniqueness and approach here versus some kind of common sense image or common sense, For example, they said they have corruption now. Wait a minute. All of these receipts are legal. All of these things are legalized. There is no corruption. There is just mishandling of accountant.
Thank you.
And people very make blown out of proportion claims
right.
without watching the neighbor countries when we have 10x or 100x more corruption.
Right. Completely. And
so that is the problem. Japan takes too much dirt for small things.
That's true.
And other countries, they are absolutely clean even with bigger problems.
That's right, with bigger problems, that's right. Well, Japan is
this
really
is a kind of double standard, I would say.
Japan's in a situation right now that everyone can find out about it very quick, right? But they don't understand it. They can find out about it real quick, but they don't understand it. And they said, how can they have corruption, people kill people here, there's bad things. Yes, they do.
But the percentage is so tiny.
But it's so
That's why it's in the news.
That's why women and little kids can walk around at any time of day or night and not have to worry.
Actually, it's my daughter as well.
You see what I'm
my
saying?
daughter is 7 years old, and we allow her to go 40 minutes on the train to change the stop and to change the transfer.
Where else in the world would you ever try to
and
do
everybody told me, we never can do that in US.
Or in Europe, any place.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. What are you talking about?
Yes.
Or other Asian countries.
Yes.
See, people don't understand the setup here.
Yes.
And we're not saying it's the only paradise, and it's there are places you can do it, but I guarantee you, if it's outside of here, you're gated in a community.
Which means, again, foreigners are coming, prejudging too quickly without understanding that what is adopted here makes sense because it's a common sense. People don't need to discuss it, it's working.
That's right.
And people talk too much without able to understand the essence.
People come here.
Self-regulation is what is working here.
They come here for 2 years, 3 years, and write books about Japan.
Yes.
And I say, wait just a minute. you got to hold.
But they're just seeing only the surface.
The surface. That's all they're seeing. They don't have a clue. And I've been here for 5 decades and love it. But I love being a foreigner here. I don't know that I would love it if I were Asian or Japanese.
Okay.
Because
so that's why I love.
dynamic.
That's why I like some of the Japanese who are saying we don't like the system here, even we are born and adopted to that system because our mindsets function differently. But what I have found that some of them coexist, means they can be working successfully in foreign country, they can also be here because they know the limitation of the system here.
That's right.
For example, if you want to ask a task on the phone to be fixed, is not going to work. You need to go in person and you need to find the second inch of that office to fix it.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's waste of time.
Right. That's so true.
So that's why if you learn as a foreigner how to do that and you don't over-complain, you just tiny explain where is the gap, where is the issue, Japanese people like you.
They do.
Because you have analytical way to solve the problem they have never touched
That's right.
for some reason.
That's right.
So that's why I think 5 decades, and other people I know for 30 years they've been here, they know how to utilize the system without significant friction.
That's right.
And that is the best.
That's true. And if they do have friction, it's at such a high level, other people don't see it. They don't deal with it. And I experienced that many times, not at the chamber, but here.
So that is the good point. Loyal, attached to Japan foreigners, if they do the right things for Japan, Japanese people appreciate it.
I think so. I know so. I know so. Because, like I said, there's two types of foreigners here. Those that are surviving and those that are thriving.
Yes.
The ones that are surviving have a whole different view of Japan.
Yeah, because they see issues in every point, but that is because of their mindsets.
Thank you. It's just because of their mindset, and they're living out. Yeah, it's difficult for them, and I believe it.
No, I agree that certain things cannot be easily changed or fixed. For example, if you need to make payment of your juminze, you need to do it by paper. It cannot be done automatically. But what's the problem of going to your local bank and talking to the bank teller in person, which they like to see your foreign face?
They do. They sure do. They sure do. That's their way of doing it. That's so true.
So you see, humanism and human integrity, in my opinion, are the most important treasury of society and social fabrics that need to be preserved when you have this new, what is it called, revolutions in society, technology, and whatever is the next coming.
Right. I think that applies not just here, but around the world.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying is let's use first Japan as a moderate way, because people claim, oh, Japan is very corrupt democracy. How about other ones?
But I don't see what they're talking about, because they give you so much leniency if you do things in the proper, if you know how to do it. You can build skyscrapers here if you know how to do it in the right way. I know foreigners that own nice sized buildings here. They're doing really well.
I think this is, what is it called, small percentages, very top-notch wealthy foreigners here, which are not so many, I would say, there.
Right, no. Well, it's basically because they'd never figured out how to work the system.
Yes, yes.
And they'd rather be in some countries that move quicker. No, you know, give money today and you get the building tomorrow.
Let's a little bit simplify. If you come here and you polish your Japanese skills, you can go to any ministry, any agency, and get the paperwork done for the permits, for whatever you need to do here. It's possible.
That's true.
So you see, if you have consistency, remove the language barrier, don't complain, you can find a way.
That's right.
And second, if you have issues can be resolved by using out-of-court settlement. You need to have a lawyer that is persuasive in this way.
That's right.
Then things works.
That's
you
true.
Don't waste a lot of funding for that. You don't make a lot of confrontations, and then you move on. People start to recognize that you have skills suitable for all fields, and then you can deliver finally the product, whatever is the building or whatever is the solution you are trying.
That's right. Oh, that's so true. And I think we see it, those of us that have kids, see it through our children if we're actually doing the right thing. Because they're only a reflection of basically what you've taught them, which is your past.
And also what you correct in the wrong behaviors they have, that is what they will sustain in the social skills.
Right. I always like to say that, as I said, our children represent our past because we can only teach them what we've already learned.
Correct.
Now, the other time,
correct.
We represent their possible future, so we have to continue to show them.
Which means
right.
we need to give them the seeds for their own
That's right.
nourishment of skills, as a matter their physical skills or mental skills or spiritual skills, because that's what will give them the way to establish themselves in the social.
But their sunshine, their light still, their energy comes from the thought of you as their father, the thought of their mother. That's we can't get that out of our heads.
But don't forget, the Japanese culture is also quite addictive. You can go to pachinko, you can go to manga, you can go to anime, then you have no way of return.
I understand that, but then that's why I'm saying the light and their guidance comes from what they watch their mother do and their father do, it'd be hard for them to believe, or even you to believe, if they did that and you've never done it. Because or drink to an excess. They've never seen you. But if you come home, because you've been a pachinko all day and you smell like tobacco, then you come home and you drink all day, and then you're telling your kids, don't ever do that, and think they won't.
That is already, what is
That's
it
a
called?
contradiction.
That's contradiction.
That's
Also, don't forget the mindset, don't smoke.
Right.
Actually, the mindset thinks, please smoke.
Please
so
smoke.
it's the opposite,
The
because
opposite.
doesn't
And
read
plus
when you
you're
say don't, doesn't work like
and
that.
you're reinforcing it by being the one that's doing it.
That's right. So
You can't do
that is the correct way. You cannot teach things if you don't have the way of doing it.
Right, they're watching you. And the same with size. See, people that have got too much girth, and they tell their kids, don't ever get like me. They love, then you tell them not to love you, they're going to love you, first of all, because they don't know any difference. And they want to be like you when they get older. And they'll give themselves all the excuses. Well, my father was like this, or my mother was like this.
Yeah, but
and
you
they
see,
will give the same
that's
excuses.
the main thing, that they need to be slightly guided, because if you
That's right,
over
exactly.
micromanage
You
them,
cannot do
you
that.
damage them.
That's why I'm saying you have to be an example of what you'd hope they will admire and deal with. They will go that route.
That's
I have
right.
4 sons,
Wow.
and every single day I tell them I will never stop being their parent. Something I didn't get when I was young, I didn't hug a lot because we weren't a touching family. And I think that's why I like Japan, because it's not a touching society.
Correct.
Right.
But at the same time,
But I touch them now and I hug them because I wish that had happened to me. They like it.
I see.
They like
I
it, and
see.
they need it. All of us
no, but
need to
this
feel
is
the
not
same.
only human. All animal world is the same. If
They
you
need
touch
it.
your
They follow
cat,
it all the time. Yes.
you exchange the energy between them, and then
kittens
they
with the
feel
mother cat.
comfortable. You feel comfortable. That's the nature.
So I do that. It's
So you see
changed that
here,
energy. Yes.
endorsing lockdowns was so much damage to any society.
It did.
They need to carefully review that. This is not the
But
way
that was-
in the future.
That wasn't for Japan. Japan tried to resist it. I could see that
No, I
happening.
agree.
Because they
And
waited.
also Sweden, but no other countries.
Sweden didn't do a thing. They said, "Go. Guess what? Wear your mask." That's why everyone went to go party. The people that did
No, I
it.
understand, but what is my point is that, you see, people whitewash wrong decisions
Right.
by the experts and the policy makers. They need to really revisit everything which was wrong.
The thing I liked about Japan during that lockdown, I never saw so many people walking around.
No, walking
in my
around
neighborhood.
is fine
No, but
because
I'm
you
saying
don't
doing-
have transmissions.
But they were telling people, stay inside.
No,
Do you
they're
remember
telling
that?
people after 8 p.m.
I know.
by using the fire department, please stay home now,
This
it's
is-
8 p.m.
But they walked around, and I could see my neighborhood looked like a museum. So many people walking around to see areas they haven't been in, and it was just constant. And I said, I've never seen. And now you don't see them walking around anymore, not the same way. Only in the cities, only like Shibuya, wherever they used to be before.
That's right.
But they were in the neighborhoods. They transferred from areas like that in Shibuya to throughout this area. You look down there, you see people everywhere, walking
Correct,
around.
I agree.
And I thought, this is beautiful. And then you'd have the announcement every 20 minutes or so, they were saying, please stay inside, please be careful, distance. And they were doing that around this area
No, every
regularly.
area.
And I thought, that's Japan. They're not telling you have to, but please.
Correct. That's
They
a big
never, they
difference.
never force you.
That's correct.
They suggest
That's
it.
correct. But I hope this will sustain, because I don't know what will happen next as a
Well, see, it
as
takes
a
people like
policies.
you and it takes people like me that will speak up where the Japanese may not say anything. And we become their advocates.
Correct.
Because I do not plan on leaving this place ever.
The same thing
I'll live
for
on
me.
this- Why would I? And I want to see it maintained. That's why I thought the Olympics was the way it turned out was beautiful, because we didn't have an inundation of a lot of people
Let's
thinking they
see-
could be here.
Let's see what will happen with Osaka Expo.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
It's challenging, because it's much bigger cost now than the previously
That's right.
thought.
That's right.
But still possible.
But the Olympics started off the same way.
Yeah.
Big cost, and then they started cutting it back and back. They always and what the guy got, how much, I forget how much, non-oku for that logo that they never used because they found out that he had taken it from other people.
Correct. Correct.
But those are
That's
small
the
things.
funny
that
things
tickle.
in Japan.
But we come from a place where we know, and we've seen other areas For Japanese, that's so good. And we're going, you got to be kidding me. That's all he did?
No, because they don't have other major
That's right,
kind
no.
of sensational
And they don't
news.
and they don't push it out. Thank goodness. That's why people live so long here. They're not stressed out by stuff they can't do anything about.
Yes.
Our countries, every single second there's something to make you feel stressed and scared.
So
and
here I
worried.
like the self-regulation of the diet and of the government and prime minister. If ratings are low, you make a new call for election. Other countries will never do that.
They never-
You
they
have
can't do
0%, you still be in power.
And that's why also in Japan, there was one era in the 80s, around the 80s, 90s, every 6 months there was a new prime minister. Every 6 months they got their turn.
I
Said, I want to
remember
be
that.
prime
I
minister 6
remember
months.
that.
I said, now who else could do that? Nobody. And
Correct.
still run perfectly. No one came to work late. The trains were always on time. Taxi cabs were still available.
That's correct.
Everything was
Because
who
it's
can do that?
self-regulated.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's why someone gets out to clean the roads every day. But there's nothing on there to clean up. But they still go out every single day.
Because you
beautiful.
see, in Japan, the routine is more important.
It is.
That's the
Doing
same
it.
in quality assurance in the factories.
That's right.
You need to do the routine, even maybe not necessary.
Right. But it must be done perfectly.
Which other countries will cut it off,
Will cut it
and
off,
there'll
stop
be
it.
issues, and then they'll think, how to solve them.
Yeah, how do we get it back? That's why in most of the countries right now, infrastructure is just completely devastated because no one's taking care of it, no one to maintain it.
And it's difficult to maintain.
It's, especially now because they've allowed all of Japan.
But do you understand
every
why?
single
Because
se-
when they built this infrastructure was calculated for assurance for 40 years. Nobody know what happened after that.
That's right. No one even thought about it.
Yes.
Well, Japan does it a little bit differently. There's cranes here regularly.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Of course, one reason for that is don't forget that natural disasters are much bigger here. So
That's true.
people first have two things. They have a natural acceptance that you may not survive.
That's true.
Second, you know that you need to do better protection of the building and infrastructure because of these frequent earthquakes and frequent other disasters like
Typhoons,
floodings.
right.
Floodings and earthquakes, in my opinion, are the most frequent. The typhoon is flooding
That's right.
actually, and
what it is.
tsunami is the most biggest disaster. When you watch tsunami, you realize there is no way to escape.
Because you're done. Unless you get high ground and you're
But that's not possible quickly.
I mean, but no, if you have buildings high enough and it doesn't come up that high.
But building need to be strong to survive
That's
the
what I'm
flow.
saying. That's right. And Japan thinks about that. When they're building, that's why they see it any height. If it's 10 stories, it must go 20 stories. The beam,
Correct.
it
To
has to go twice as
sustain these
much
pillars.
to keep that up. Whatever height is up there, that's how twice as deep below,
Correct.
or else it does not work. It will not stay up. So
The Japanese industrial buildings are expensive because they have so much stainless steel frames inside to protect for this magnitude 7
That's
earthquake.
right. That's right.
So you see, that's the point. They are the most robust structures to protect their employees.
that's right.
You see, not so many other construction companies in the world do. Of course, they don't have this degree of natural disasters, but second is cut cost.
That's right. Japan's learned throughout centuries of having
That you need to
disasters.
have
That's right.
severe protection. I mean, not
Definitely.
severe, how to say, strong enough structurally.
And they've conditioned their people to act accordingly, where they don't act hysterical. They're very calm. You can watch. I remember when they had tsunamis. A guy's house has gone down. He said, "Josh, shogunai."
It's, you see,
What
this
country?
is this
They've
is
conditioned their people to
this
think
is
like
the
there's no crime.
Japanese stoicism that is very rarely recognized.
You can't say, listen, that, and then they get to work right away.
Correct.
They get to work
Or
right
stay in line
away.
to wash their,
Right
to take water.
away. Right away. Well, look, Ivo, I'll tell you what. We said we're going to keep this short today. What would you like to end with? Tell me some areas that you want to talk about. Because we love Japan to end with. Because last time I already asked you what you'd do if you went back in time, and you gave me a very good answer.
That's
So
a
we have
good.
to
That's
do
a
that.
challenging question you're
It
giving
was,
me.
it was. But I don't want you
No, I
to-
mean this time as well.
Right. So
So
what's that with?
what I have realized that I need to learn more and challenge myself in order to feel comfortable to continue living in Japan. I cannot take the advantageously, parasitically, the advantage of Japan. I need to contribute here first by polishing myself, getting better, because maybe, as you know, my skills are coming from cultures that is okay to drop something. It's okay to make mess, but not here.
No.
Not here. So one thing. And second thing, I realize another thing is that you need to make your mind clean with no disturbances, no kind of addictions.
Yes.
And that is one thing of purification based on the Japanese philosophical concept. So what I'm thinking more and more now that I need to balance this. Of course, you can try to do only meditation, but my opinion is much more than that.
Yes,
So you need to balance your quality in order to get more way of interacting in Japan.
I think that's good. That's well said. Well said, Ivo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Always. We're going to do this again,
Lance,
too.
absolutely, because we have many other topics.
We do.
We have no
We do
time
this.
to cover today.
Right. Today, I think we really let people understand how much we feel about this country.
That's right.
We've been fortunate enough
That's
to be able to live in and to work in.
And interact, and
right.
also, how to
Absolutely
say,
back.
treasure their way of doing things, and also, of course, understanding the gaps and issues.
That's right. That's right.
For example, abandoned houses and other issues that are coming, aging population, and so on. But
Those are opportunities,
things,
too.
of course, and these things will happen to any country.
That's right.
Just will take more time. I like Japan because we start early to
We're gonna
address
be the
these
first to be
challenges.
able to do it, right.
Yes, yes.
Because people will be living older throughout the world. So that is going to be, and people have less kids too, because we have the means to do that.
Correct.
I want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And always remember, it's all on loan, so continue to reach for the stars.
Because you're too blessed to be stressed.